The Wizards of the Empire, Setna and the Magic Roll, the two stories of Setna and the Magic Roll, and Setna and his son, Osiris, which follow in chapters 4 and 5, are a very much later date than the tales of the old magicians. The first was written in the time of the Ptolemaic pharaohs of Egypt about 300 BC or later, the second in the reign of Claudius Caesar about AD 46 to 47. At the same time, though they are thus almost modern as things go in Egypt, they no doubt represent very ancient traditions which have been handed down in one form or another for many centuries. The prince who gives the title to both stories is a well-known historical personage. Setna Kaimor, Setna Glory in Thebes, was the favorite son of the famous Egyptian pharaoh Ramses II. In all probability, he was destined for the throne, for he exercised the highest offices during his father's lifetime, being high priest at Memphis among other things, but he died before the long reign of Ramses closed, and the succession fell to his brother Merenptah. Kamors had a great reputation in Egypt for learning, and, as almost always happened in ancient days, a reputation for learning meant almost inevitably a reputation for skill in the magic arts. The story of Setna and the Magic Roll is again double, a tale within a tale, and it is more difficult to decide the period to which the dead prince, Nanefer-kaptah, and his wife Ahura are supposed to belong. There is no king of Egypt known who bears the name Merneptah, given by Ahura in her story. The probability is that the name is a corruption of one of the titles of the famous and magnificent pharaoh Amenhotep III. The Setna part of the story, therefore, dates from about 1300 BC, and Ahura's tale takes us back, roughly speaking, another century. In Ahura's account of how Nanefer-kaptah gained the Book of Thoth, we see again the persistent Egyptian belief in the possibility of making and vivifying waxen images and obliging them to do the will of their creator, while the enclosing of the book in a series of boxes is perhaps the oldest illustration of a formula for the protection of precious things, which occurs in the wonder tales of almost all nations. In the second story of the Setna tradition, apart from the reappearance on both sides of the struggle of the waxen images as instruments of the wizard's will, the interest centers upon the altogether extraordinary parallel which is presented by the visit of Setna and his wondrous child to the underworld, to the Lord's parable of the rich man and Lazarus. The resemblance is wonderfully striking. The contest between the old Egyptian wizard reincarnate in the boy Osiris and the reincarnation of the old Ethiopian wizard naturally calls up the appearance of Moses and Aaron before the Egyptian court, with the difference that here the advantage naturally is made to lie with the native wizard. And it is interesting to remember once more that in the whole Setna tradition we are dealing with a person who almost certainly comes very close in point of time to the actual period of the Exodus. The marriage of Prince Nanefer-kaptah to his sister the Princess Ahura is strictly in accordance with ancient Egyptian ideas of a fitting matrimonial arrangement for children of the royal house, while the old priests demand for 2 coffins to be made for him and a splendid funeral to be accorded him in return for his information, illustrates the extraordinary importance which the Egyptian mind attached to all details connected with the life after death. Nanefer-kaptah's way of learning the spells of the Book of Thoth by copying them and then washing off the ink with beer and drinking the beer is a regular Oriental fashion of literally absorbed knowledge. Many Egyptian and Babylonian drinking vessels, both ancient and modern, have charms engraved upon them whose virtue is supposed to be imparted to the liquid which is drunk from them. At the end of the story, how Isis stole the great name of Ra, will be found directions for using the story as a spell exactly as Nanefer-kaptah used the spells of the magic roll. The story of Setna and the Magic Roll. Once upon a time, there was a great king of Egypt named User-Mat-Ra, Ramses II, to whom be life, health, and strength. He had a very large family, and one of his sons, whose name was Setna was a very wise and learned man. He used to spend nearly all his time studying the sacred books, or reading the inscriptions engraved upon the walls of the temple and the tablets in the cemetery of Memphis. Moreover, he was a great magician. There was none like him in all the land of Egypt. He knew all kinds of charms and spells, and could speak and write words of power that made all creatures and spirits do his bidding. Now it happened one day that Setna was standing in the court of the temple of the great god Ptah, reading the inscriptions on the walls, when a man of noble appearance who stood near him began to laugh loudly. Setna turned angrily to him and said, "Why are you laughing at me?" The man answered, "I'm not laughing at you, but I'm laughing to see you wasting your time reading these senseless words when I can tell you where to find a book which the god Thoth wrote with his own hand. To read it will make you only a little lower than the gods. There are 2 spells in it. When you repeat the first, you will charm heaven and earth, sea and sky, mountains and rivers you will understand what the birds say as they fly, and the serpents as they crawl. And when you call to the fish, a divine power will bring them up to the surface of the water. When you repeat the second spell, though you were in your grave, you will come back to life again as you were before, and you will see the sun in the sky and the moon in her changes and all the company of the gods." "By my life," said Setna, "show me where this book is, and I will give you anything you like to ask." "The book is not mine," said the stranger. "It lies in the tomb of Prince Naneferkaptah, son of King Mer-Neb-Ptah, to whom be life, health, and strength. Only I advise you not to meddle with it, for Naneferkaptah will make you bring it back again with a forked stick in your hand and a fire pan on your head." As soon as Setna heard where the book was, he cared for nothing else on earth. He hastened away as fast as his feet would carry him to the king his father, told him everything that had been said, and asked his permission to go down into the tomb of Prince Naneferkaptah and bring back the magic book. So he took with him his foster brother, and for 3 days and 3 nights they searched the cemetery of Memphis, reading all the inscriptions on the tombs, that they might find the tomb of Prince Naneferkaptah. When at last, on the 3rd day, they found it, Setna recited a spell over it. The earth opened, and he went down into the long rock-hewn passage that led to the chamber of the tomb, leaving his foster brother to wait for him above. A vulture and a crow flapped slowly on before him down the passage till they came to the door of the chamber, where they perched, one on either side. A great stone closed the door of the tomb, but Setna, putting out all his strength, rolled it aside and went boldly into the chamber. At first his eyes were dazzled, for a great light shone from the magic roll, and the whole chamber was as bright as day. After a little he looked round, and there was Prince Naneferkaptah sitting in his chair, and beside him were the ghosts of his wife Ahura and his little boy Merab. Their bodies were buried far away up the Nile at Koptos, but by the power of his magic book, Naneferkaptah had brought their spirits back to Memphis to keep him company in his grave. So when Setna came in, the princess Ahura sprang up and cried, "Who art thou?" And Setna answered, "I am Prince Setna Kaimuas, son of King Ramses, to whom be life, health, and strength, and I am come to carry away this book of Thoth which I see between you and your husband. Give it to me, or I will take it by force." Then said the lady Ahura, "Do not take it away, I beg of you, but listen first to the story of all the evils which it has brought upon us, and how the getting of it shortened our days upon earth." So Ahura began, and told to Setna the story of the magic book, the story of Princess Ahura. "My name is Ahura, and when I was alive, I was the daughter of King Mer-Neb-Ptah, to whom be life, health, and strength, and Neferkaptah, my husband, was my brother, and we loved one another very dearly. When I grew old enough to be married, the king my father said to the queen my mother, "See, Ahura, our daughter, is quite grown up, and it is high time that she was married. To whom shall we marry her 5 now?" I had told my mother that I loved Neferkaptah and would have none other but him for my husband. So my mother said to my father, "Ahura loves Neferkaptah. Let us marry them, the one to the other." But my father said, "According to the custom, we have only these 2 children. Why should they marry one another? Let us marry the one to the daughter of a general and the other to the son of a general, for this will be far better for the family." That night there was a banquet in the palace, and I had to appear before Pharaoh my father, but I was grieved at what he had said, and was not so gay and bright as usual. So Pharaoh said to me, "Little stupid, what folly is this that you have said to your mother about marrying your brother?" "Oh, well," I said, "do what you like. Marry me to the son of a general, and marry my brother to the daughter of a general, and let us be a happy family." Then I laughed, and Pharaoh laughed, for he saw that I should never be happy without Neferkaptah. And he said to his chamberlain, "Marry Ahura to Neferkaptah this very night, and send to their house treasures of gold and silver and all sorts of good things." So we were married, and were very happy together for a while. And we had this one son, little Merab, whom you see. But after a time my husband began, like you, to think of nothing but reading the sacred books, and the inscriptions in the temples, and the tablets on the tombs of the pharaohs. Now one day, when he was reading the writings on the walls of the temple of Ptah, an old man who was standing by laughed at him. "Why are you laughing at me?" said Neferkaptah. "I am not laughing at you," said the old priest, "but I am laughing to see you wasting your time in reading this nonsense. If you really wish to see something worth reading, come to me, and I shall show you a book which Thoth wrote with his own hand. There are 2 spells in it. When you repeat the first, you will charm heaven and earth, sea and sky, mountains and rivers. You will understand what the birds say as they fly, and the serpents as they crawl. And when you call to the fish, a divine power will bring them up to the surface of the water. When you repeat the second, though you were in your grave, you will come back to life again as you were before, and you will see the sun in the sky, and the moon in her changes, and all the company of the gods. By the life of Pharaoh," said my husband, "tell me anything you wish, and I will give it you, if only you will bring me where this book is." Then said the priest, "If you wish me to show you where the book is, you must give me 100 pieces of silver and cause 2 coffins to be made for me, that so I may be buried as a rich priest." So the money was handed over, and the coffins were made, and then the priest said, "The book you wish is in the middle of the river Nile at Koptos in an iron box. In the iron box is a bronze box. In the bronze box is a sycamore box. In the sycamore box is an ivory and ebony box. In the ivory and ebony box is a silver box. In the silver box is a gold box, and in the gold box is the book. Round about the box are snakes and scorpions and all sorts of crawling things, and a deathless serpent keeps guard over all." When my husband heard this, he was so glad that he scarcely knew where he was. He came and told me all about it and said, "I am going to Koptos to bring back this book, and then I will never leave you any more." But when I knew what was in his mind, I was very angry with the priest for what he had said, and I threatened him, for I was sure that if my husband went up the Nile to look for the book, harm would come of it. Then I besought Neferkaptah not to go to Koptos, but he would not listen to me. He went to Pharaoh and told him everything, and Pharaoh said to him, "What do you really want then?" "Give me your royal barge with the crew and tackle," said he, "and I shall take my wife and my son and go south and bring back this book, and then I will never leave this place any more." So we embarked on the royal barge and came to Koptos. When we arrived, the high priest and the other priests of Isis at Koptos came down to meet us, bringing their wives to salute me. We offered sacrifice and stayed there for 5 days. the priests making holiday with Na-nefer-kaptah, and their wives making holiday with me. On the morning of the 6th day, my husband caused a great quantity of pure wax to be brought to him. Out of it he made a boat with rowers and sailors. He recited a spell over them, which gave them life and breath, and then he launched the boat in the river, filling it with sand. Then he went on board, and I waited by the bank of the river, saying, I must see what will happen to him. So Na-nefer-kaptah cried to his waxen sailors, Oarsmen, row me to the place where the book of Thoth lies, and they rowed day and night, till in 3 days they came to the place. Then he threw sand into the river, and the water parted this way and that way, and lo, in the midst of the river bed there was a great tangle of serpents and scorpions and all sorts of creeping things over the box. He recited a spell over them, and in a moment all their wriggling and twisting ceased, and they were held motionless by the power of his magic. Then he came to the deathless snake, and as it reared its fiery crest against him, he struck it a mighty blow, so that it fell dead before him, but immediately it came to life again. A second time he slew it, and a second time it came to life. But the third time he filled his left hand with sand and drew his sword, and as the serpent reared up against him, he smote it so that it fell in 2 halves, and then in a moment he cast the sand between the writhing pieces of the creature's body, so that they could not come together again. The deathless snake was dead. Na-nefer-kaptah took the iron box out from the midst of the stiffened coil of serpents and scorpions and opened it. Within it was a bronze box, and inside that a sycamore box, and inside that an ivory and ebony box, and inside that a silver box, and inside that a golden box, and in the golden box lay the book. He took it out, broke the seals, and undid the knots, and unrolled it. When he had read the first spell, he charmed the heavens and the earth, the sea and the sky, the mountains and the rivers. He understood what the birds say as they fly, and the serpents as they crawl. And when he called to the fish, a divine power made them come to the surface of the water. Then he recited another spell, and the river closed again over the place where the box had been. So he went on board the waxen boat once more, and said, Oarsmen, row me back again to the place where Ahura waits for me, and they rowed day and night for 3 days, till they found me sitting by the river bank at Koptos. For all the time he was absent I had tasted neither food nor drink, but had sat like one dead. After we had welcomed one another, by the life of Pharaoh, said I to him, let me see this book for which we have taken so much trouble. He put the roll into my hand, and when I had read it, I could enchant everything just as he could. Then he made a copy of the whole book, washed off the ink with beer, and drank the beer, and so he knew everything that had been written in the roll of Thoth. So we embarked once more on the royal barge, and rowed northwards from Koptos. But the god Thoth had learned what we had done, and he went to the chief of the gods, and complained to him that Na-nefer-kaptah had robbed him of his book and killed its guardian serpent. Then said Ra, he is in your hands, he and all that is his. Then Thoth sent a curse from heaven, saying, Forbid that Na-nefer-kaptah should ever return to Memphis safe and sound with his family. That very moment when the curse descended, the little boy Merab came out from under the awning of the barge and fell into the river. As he fell, all who saw him cried out, and his father came swiftly from the cabin. Swiftly, too, he spoke with words of power, and Merab rose to the surface of the water and was drawn on board. Then, as they laid him down on the deck, Na-nefer-kaptah recited another spell, and Merab opened his cold lips and told him all that had happened, and how Thoth had accused him before the gods, but no spell could bring our little boy back to life again. So we returned sadly to Koptos, and there we embalmed little Merab, and laid him in the tomb with such honor as becomes a prince of the house of Pharaoh. And we hastened northwards again, lest the king our father should hear first from others of what had happened, and should be troubled. Merab had been drowned, the curse wrought once more, and as I came out from under the awning of the barge, I too fell into the river. My husband brought me to the surface again by his spells, but when we came to the place where he could not bring me back to life, with me to Coptos, embalmed my body, and buried me beside our little son with the state that becomes a princess. So he returned. Then with a sad and lonely heart he embarked once more for Memphis. But as the barge passed the place where the curse had fallen upon us, he, "Would it not be better to die," said to himself, "and to be buried with them both? How shall I face Pharaoh and say to him, I have taken your children with me, I have slain them, and now I come back alive to you?" He took a long piece of fine royal linen and fastened the magic roll tightly round his waist, and then he went out from under the awning of the barge and cast himself into the river. All who saw it cried out, "Woe and lamentation! He is gone, the good scribe, the wise man who had no equal." So at last the barge of Pharaoh finished its voyage in very different guise from that in which it went forth, and no one knew what had become of Na-nefer-kaptah. But when the galley came to Memphis, Pharaoh and his courtiers, the garrison of the city, and all the priests came out in mourning garments to meet it, and behold, they saw the body of Na-nefer-kaptah, which by his spells had entangled itself with the steering oars. They lifted it up, but none dared to take from his bosom the magic roll for which he had paid so dearly. And when they had embalmed him and mourned him for many days, they buried him in this tomb. Behold, therefore, Setna, I have told you all the sorrows which have come to us because of this book which you covet, and would fain take by force. You have no right to it, but we have, for because of it our days of life on earth have been cut short. So said Ahura, but Setna would not listen to her pleading. "Give me the book," he said roughly, "or else I take it by force," for he knew that the ghosts could not withstand a living man. Then craftily, "If you are so hard-hearted, let us stake the book upon a game of draughts. I will play," said Na-nefer-kaptah, and he spake. "You for it the best of 52 points." "Done," said Setna. So the board was taken from the funeral furniture, and the two magicians, the living and the dead, sat down to play for the magic roll. Na-nefer-kaptah won the first game. Triumphant, he recited a spell. Then he struck Setna on the head with the board, and Setna sank into the earth up to his knees. The pieces were arranged once more, and the second game began. It ended like the first, and Setna sank to his waist. Then the third game, Setna's last hope, when as the first and second had done, and the defeated wizard sank to his neck. In despair he called for his foster brother, Anehoru, and said, "Hasten to Pharaoh, tell him what has happened, and bring here my book of incantations and the talisman of Ptah." And Anehoru hastened to the palace and came back with the talisman. He placed it upon Setna's head, and Setna immediately rose out of the earth again. Then stretching out his hand, he took the magic roll from between the two helpless ghosts, and as he went forth from the tomb, light went before him, and darkness was behind him. Ahura wept as he went, crying, "Glory to the King of Dark! Yes, glory to the King of Light! All power is gone from our tomb. Do not trouble yourself," said Na-nefer-kaptah. "I will make him bring back the book before long, with a forked stick in his hand and a firepan on his head." So Setna went forth from the tomb, and it closed behind him, even as it was before, so that no man might know of entrance. Then he went to Pharaoh and told him all that had happened, and Pharaoh said to him, "If you are a wise man, you will put the book back in the tomb of Na-nefer-kaptah. Otherwise he will make you bring it back with a forked stick in your hand and a firepan on your head." But Setna paid no heed to Pharaoh's warning. He could think of nothing but unrolling the book and reading it to everybody whom he met. Then it happened one day that, as he walked in the court of the temple of Ptah, he saw a very beautiful girl. There was not a woman in all the land to match her in beauty. She was richly dressed and bedecked with golden ornaments. A number of young girls walked behind her, and she had 52 servants in her train. When Setna saw her, he was enchanted with her beauty. He sent his page to inquire her name and found that she was Tabubua, daughter of a priest of the cat goddess Bast. So eager was he that he followed her to her house, and there pled hard with her that she would marry him. Really, he was in a dream which Naneferkaptah had sent upon him by enchantment, and Tabubua was an evil spirit sent to torment him, but this he did not know. Before she would consent to marry him, Tabubua insisted first that he should give her all his estate as her marriage portion, next that he should disinherit his own children, and at last that he should cause his children to be slain. So in his madness he granted her wishes. The children were slain, and their bodies were cast to the dogs and cats. And Setna heard the hungry brutes crunching their bones, while he sat drinking wine with Tabubua. Then he claimed her promise, but as he stretched out his arms to her, she gave a dreadful cry and vanished, and Setna awoke and found himself lying in a miserable hovel without a stitch of clothes to cover him. Terribly ashamed and frightened, he hurried back to Memphis, and when he got to the palace, he found his children, to his great joy, not as he had seen them in his dream, all mangled and bleeding, but safe and sound. Everyone marveled to see the wise prince in such a state, and Pharaoh his father looked upon him and said, "Setna, have you been drunk, that you come here in such a miserable condition?" So Setna told him the whole story of his evil dream, and Pharaoh said, "Well, I warned you already that you would come to a bad end unless you gave back the book. Now take it back to Na-nefer-kappa with a forked stick in your hand and a fire pan on your head." So Setna took the book, and with a forked stick in his hand and a fire pan on his head, he went down again into the tomb. When she saw him, "Setna, you may thank the great," Ahura said, "God ptah that you are here alive." But Nanefer-kaptah chuckled and said, "What did I tell you before?" And while they talked, behold, the whole tomb was filled with light. Then said Setna very humbly, "What penance do you put upon me, Nanefer-kaptah?" And Nanefer-kaptah answered, "You, Setna, that the bodies of my wife Ahura and my son Merab are still at Koptos, though by my arts their ghosts are here with me, I order you to go to Koptos and bring them here, that we may be all, see, united in one tomb." So Setna took the royal barge and went to Koptos, and there he searched vainly for 3 days and 3 nights in the cemetery, moving the tombstones and reading the inscriptions upon them, but nowhere could he find the tomb of Ahura and Merab. Setna restores the roll to the tomb. At last he found an old man and asked him if he knew where they lay. The old man thought for a while and then said, said to my father's father once, the tomb of the princess Ahura and her father is under the southern angle of the Sun Merab priest's house. Has the priest done you any harm, said Setna, that you want me to knock down his house? Keep me under guard, said the old man, while you knock down the house, and if you do not find the tomb, you may punish me as a rogue. So they put him under guard and pulled down the priest's house, and under its southern corner they found the tomb with the bodies of Ahura and Merab. Then they built up the house exactly as it was before, and taking Ahura and Merab on board the barge, Setna went back to Memphis. Then Pharaoh, to whom be life, health, and strength, caused the dead princess and her son to be carried with honor to the tomb of Nanefer-kaptah, and when the family had been united once more, the tomb was sealed, and they were left in peace. This is the complete writing of the story of Setna Khamuas and Nanefer-kaptah, and his wife Ahura and their son Merab. It was written by the scribe Zeharpet in the 15th year, in the month Tybi. The wizards of the empire continued. The true story of Setna Khamuas and his son Osiris. Once upon a time there was a great king of Egypt called Uzamat-Ra, to whom be life, health, and strength. He had a son named Setna Khamuas, who was the wisest of all scribes in the land of Egypt. But Setna had no child, and his heart was very sad and so was the heart of his wife. Now it fell out that one night when Setna's wife was sleeping, the god Imhotep appeared to her in a dream and promised her that a son should be born to her and her husband, and that he should work great miracles in the land of Egypt. When the little boy was born, they called him Saint Osiris, and he grew so fast that when he was 1 year old, people would have said he was 2, and when he was 2, they would have said that he was 3. His father was so fond of him that he could not bear to let him out of his sight even for an hour. When he grew big, he was sent to school, but in a very short time he knew more than his teacher. Then he began to read spells with the scribes of the double house of life of the temple, so that all who heard him were filled with wonder, and Setna delighted to take him before Pharaoh on festival days, that he might see him striving with his magic against the magicians of Pharaoh, and holding his own with the best of them. Now, after this, it happened one day when Setna was bathing on the terrace of his house and sent Osiris with him, that they heard a loud lamentation. They looked down, and behold, there was a rich man being carried to his burial in the mountain of the west with great mourning and honor. And while they looked, behold, a poor man was carried also to his grave, wrapped in a mat, and with no one to follow him or to weep over him. Then said Setna, "By the life of Osiris, Lord of the underworld, may my lot in Hades be like that of the rich man for whom they make mourning, and not like that of the poor man whom they bury without honor." But Osiris, his little son, said to him, "Father, may your lot in Hades be like that of the poor man, and may there never happen to you that which is happening to the rich man in Hades." When Setna heard these words, he was greatly grieved and said, "Are these the words of a child who loves his father?" Then Saint Osiris said to him, "If you wish it, I shall show to you, each one in his own place, the poor man over whom no one wept, and the rich man over whom such lamentation was made." So Saint Osiris, the little boy, recited his spells. He took his father by the hand and led him to a place which he did not know, in the mountain of Memphis. Here were 7 great halls, and in them were people of all sorts. They passed through the first 3, no man offering to hinder them. In the 4th they saw a number of men toiling hard, while behind them asses devoured all the fruit of their labors. Beside them were men over whose heads hung bread and water. Every now and then they sprang up to seize the food, but as fast as they sprang, others dug away the ground from beneath their feet, so that they were no nearer the bread than before. When they came to the 5th hall, behold, the pivot of the great door turned in the eye socket of a man who lay beneath it, beseeching the gods for mercy and uttering terrible cries of pain. When they came to the 6th hall, Setna saw the 42 gods of the jury of the other world, sitting to try the causes of the souls of men, while the ushers of the court called the causes. When they came to the 7th hall, Setna saw the great god Osiris sitting on his throne of pure gold and crowned with his diadem with its double plumes. Anubis, the great god, stood on his left, and Thoth, the great god, on his right, while all around sat the jury of the gods. In the midst of the hall stood a balance, and there the hearts of men were weighed. Those whose sins were more than their virtues, their souls and bodies were cast to the devourer of the unjustified. But he whose virtues were more than his sins was led in among the gods, and his soul went up to heaven among the souls of the blessed. Then Setna saw a distinguished person, clothed in garments of fine linen, standing in a place of honor close to the throne of Osiris. And while he marveled at all this that he was seeing, Osiris said to him, "My father, do you see this noble personage clothed in fine linen standing close to the throne of Osiris? This is the poor man whom you saw being carried to the grave, wrapped up in a mat, with no one to mourn over him. When he came here to judgment, it was found that his virtues were more than his sins, and that on earth he had not had the good fortune and happiness that he deserved. And so was ordained that all the treasures of the rich man whom you saw carried with honor to his grave should be transferred to him, and that he should be placed among the souls of the blessed, near to the throne of Osiris. As for the rich man, his sins were found to be more than his virtues, and punishment has fallen upon him. It is he who lies beneath the door of the fifth hall, with the pivot of the door turning in his eye socket, while he prays for mercy and utters cries of pain. By the life of the great god Osiris, was not I right when I said to you on earth, may your lot be like that of the poor man, and not like that of the rich? Then said Setna, my son Osiris, many are the wonders I have seen in Hades. Now may I know who are the men who toil while the asses devour behind them, and who are they who leap to grasp the bread hanging over their heads, while others dig the ground from beneath their feet? Son Osiris replied, my father, the first are men who on earth were cursed of the gods, and who toiled day and night for their living, only that their extravagant wives might devour all that they earned. When they came to Hades, it was found that their sins were more than their virtues, and so their punishment here is the same as it was on earth. As for those whose bread hangs over their heads, and who yet can never reach it, these are men who on earth seem to have prosperity in their grasp, but God's providence, no man knew why, never allowed them to attain it. When they came here, it was found that their sins were greater than their virtues, and so their punishment here is the same as that which had begun for them on earth. So when Osiris had spoken thus, he and his father returned to Memphis, and Setna could not tell what was the way by which he had descended into Hades. Therefore Setna marveled greatly because of the things which he had seen in the other world. And when the little boy Osiris was, the wizards of the empire 73rd, 12 years old, there was not a scribe or a magician in Memphis who could equal him in the reading of spells. Now after this, it fell out on a day that Pharaoh was seated in the audience chamber of his palace at Memphis, while all the princes, the chief officers, and the great men of Egypt stood before him, each according to his rank at court. Then came there an usher to the king and said, thus and thus says an Ethiopian, even that he carries with him a sealed letter unto Pharaoh, to whom be life, health, and strength. So the man was brought into the court, and he bowed in respect, saying, is there any man here who can read the sealed letter which I bring to Pharaoh without opening it or breaking the seals? If there is no man in Egypt, scribe or magician, who can do this, then I will proclaim Egypt inferior to Ethiopia, my country. When Pharaoh and his servants heard these words, they were greatly troubled, saying, by the life of Pia, where is there a wise scribe or a magician clever enough to read a letter without opening it or breaking the seals thereof? Then said Pharaoh, call to me Setna Kaimos, my son. When Setna came, he bowed to the ground and adored Pharaoh. Then he arose and stood upright, blessing and praising Pharaoh. Then said Pharaoh to him, my son Setna, have you heard the words that this Ethiopian has spoken before my majesty, saying, is there a good scribe or a wise man in Egypt who can read the letter which is in my hand without opening it or breaking the seals? The moment Setna heard this, he was troubled and said, mighty Lord, who is there that can read a letter without opening it? Nevertheless, let me have 10 days' grace, that I may see what I can do, lest Egypt should be proclaimed inferior to the land of these Ethiopians. Then answered Pharaoh, so be it, my son Setna. So they appointed a lodging for the Ethiopian messenger, and they made him the food such as the Ethiopians love. And Pharaoh arose from his throne, heavy and displeased exceedingly, and went to bed without eating or drinking. Setna went to his house, scarcely knowing whither he went. He wrapped himself in a mantle from head to foot, and lay down upon his bed in great perplexity. His wife heard of it and came to his room. Setna, my husband, she said, you have no fever, your limbs are whole, your sickness is nothing but sadness of heart. Leave me, my wife, he answered. The business that troubles me is not a matter to tell to a woman. Then came the little boy, son Osiris. He bent over his father and said to him, "My father, why have you lain down heavy at heart? Tell me the troubles that weigh upon you, that I may take them away." "Leave me, my son, son Osiris," he answered. "You are too young to understand the matters that grieve my heart." "Tell me them all the same," said son Osiris, "that I may calm your heart with regard to them." Then said Setna to him, "My son, son Osiris, an Ethiopian who has come into Egypt, he is carrying with him a sealed letter, and saying, 'Is there anyone here who can read this letter without opening it? If there is no good scribe or wise man able to read it, I will proclaim Egypt inferior to my country, the land of Ethiopia. I have lain down grieved and heavy of heart over this business." When son Osiris heard this, he laughed in his father's face. "Why are you laughing?" said Setna. "I am laughing to see you making such a to-do over such a trifle. Rise up, my father, for I will read everything that is written in the letter without opening it or breaking the seals. But what proof can you give me, son Osiris, my son, that you can do this?" "My father," said he, "go to your library in the basement of the house, and I will tell you the name of each book that you choose as you take it out of its case, remaining here myself all the time." So Setna went to his library, and son Osiris read for him every book that he took out, without its being opened. Setna came up from the basement the happiest man on earth. He lost no time in going to the palace where Pharaoh was. He told him all that son Osiris had said, and Pharaoh rejoiced exceedingly. When the morrow came, Pharaoh came into the audience chamber in the midst of his nobles. He sent for the Ethiopian, who was brought into the hall with the sealed letter upon him, and stood in the midst of the court. The child son Osiris also came and stood in the midst beside the Ethiopian. Then he spake thus against him, saying, "The curse of Amen thy God be upon the Ethiopian. Thou hast dared then to come to Egypt, the sweet pool of Osiris, saying, I shall proclaim the inferiority of Egypt to the land of the Ethiopians. May the anger of Amen thy God fall upon thee. Listen to the words which I shall recite unto thee, and which are written in the letter, and do not dare to deny them falsely before Pharaoh thy sovereign." When the Ethiopian saw the child, he bowed his head to the ground and said, "I will say nothing false concerning what thou sayest." Here beginneth the story which son Osiris recited in the midst of the court before Pharaoh and his nobles, the people of Egypt listening to his voice, while he read all that was written in the letter which the Ethiopian carried. Thus he spake. It happened one day in the prosperous times of the king Simon that, as the king of the land of the Ethiopians took his siesta in the presence of Amen, he heard 3 Ethiopians talking in a house behind him. One of them spake loudly, saying, among other things, "If Amen would keep me safe from the anger of the king of Egypt, I would cast my spells upon Egypt, so that for 3 days and 3 nights there should be thick darkness, and no one should see the light." The second said, "If Amen would keep me safe from the anger of the king of Egypt, I would cast a spell upon Egypt, and bring Pharaoh of Egypt to the land of the Ethiopians, give him publicly before the king 500 blows with the courbash, and carry him back to Egypt in exactly 6 hours. The third said, "If Amen would keep me safe from the anger of the king of Egypt, I would cast a spell upon Egypt, so that nothing should grow in the fields for 3 years."
Then the king of Ethiopia caused the 3 Ethiopians to be brought before him, and said to the second of them, "Execute by your magic spells that which you have said, and by my God Amen, if you do it well, I will make you rich." So the wizard, whose name was Horus, made of wax a litter with 4 bearers. He recited a spell over them, and breathed hard upon them. He gave them life, and said, "You will go to Egypt. You will bring back Pharaoh to this place where the king is. You will give him a good beating, 500 blows with the courbash, before the king, and then you will carry him back again to Egypt, all in 6 hours, and not a minute more." They answered, "We will leave nothing undone of what you have ordered." So the familiars of the Ethiopian hastened to Egypt.
They made themselves masters of the night. They took possession of the Pharaoh, Simon. They brought him to the land of the Ethiopians where the king was. They gave him a good beating, 500 blows of the courbash in public before the king, and then they carried him back to Egypt, all in 6 hours, and not a minute more. Thus spake Osiris before Pharaoh and his nobles and the people of Egypt. And then he said to the Ethiopian, The curse of Amen thy God be upon thee. Are not my words the words of the letter which is in thy hand? The Ethiopian answered, Go on reading, for all your words are true, so far as you have gone. Then said Osiris, After all this had happened, Pharaoh awoke, sore all over with the blows which he had received. In the morning he said to his courtiers, What evil thing has happened to Egypt that I have been obliged to leave it? Ashamed at their own thoughts, the courtiers said one to another, Has Pharaoh gone mad? Then they said aloud, What is the meaning of the words which thou hast spoken before us, O great Lord? Then Pharaoh arose, he showed them his back, all scarred with blows, and he said, By the life of the great god Ptah, someone has carried me to the land of the Ethiopians during the night. They have given me a good beating, 500 blows with the whip, before the king of the Ethiopians, and they have brought me back, all in 6 hours, and not a minute more. When his courtiers saw the scarred back of Pharaoh, they uttered loud cries of astonishment. Now the Pharaoh Simon had a head librarian named Horus, son of Panesi, and he was very wise. When he came before the king, he gave a great cry, saying, My lord, this is the magic of the Ethiopians. By the life of your royal house, I will make them come to your house of torture and execution. Then said Pharaoh, Be quick about it then, lest I be carried to the land of the Ethiopians another night. So the chief scribe Horus went at once. He took his magic books and charms to the palace, and put a charm upon Pharaoh, so that the spells of the Ethiopians should not take hold upon him. Then he went to the temple of Thoth, the 9 times great god, and prayed for his help. The image of the great god spake to him, saying, Go tomorrow morning to the library of the temple. There you will find a shrine closed and sealed. Open it, and you will find a box in which is a book which I have written with my own hand. Take it, copy it, and put it back again, for it is the spell which protects against evil, and it will protect Pharaoh and save him from the sorceries of the Ethiopians. The wise scribe Horus therefore did as the god had told him, and wrote a charm for Pharaoh. And the next night, when the familiars of the Ethiopian Kame could not master Pharaoh, because he was guarded by the spell which Horus had made for him. Next day Pharaoh told the chief scribe Horus all that he had seen during the night, and how the familiars of the Ethiopian had failed. Then Horus, the son of Panesi, got a quantity of pure wax. He made a litter with 4 bearers out of it. He spake a spell over them. He breathed hard upon them, and gave them life. And he said to them, You will go to the land of the Ethiopians. You will bring back the king of the Ethiopians to Pharaoh's palace. You will give him a sound beating, 500 blows with the courbash in public before Pharaoh, and you will carry him back to the land of the Ethiopians all in 6 hours, and not a minute more. They answered, Truly we will perform all that thou hast commanded. The familiars traveled swiftly by night on the clouds of heaven to the land of the Ethiopians. They took possession of the king. They brought him into Egypt. They gave him a sound beating with the courbash, 500 blows before the king of Egypt. Then they carried him back to the land of the in 6 hours, and not a minute more. Thus spake Osiris in the midst of the court, before Pharaoh and his nobles, with the people of Egypt hearkening. And then he said, The curse of Amen thy God be upon thee, wicked Ethiopian. Are the words that I speak those which are written in this letter? Bowing to the ground, the Ethiopian answered, Continue to read, for all that thou hast said is as it is written. Then Osiris went on, after all this had happened, and the king of the Ethiopians was back in the palace again. He awoke, sore all over from the blows which he had received in Egypt. He said to his courtiers, What my sorceries did to Pharaoh, the sorceries of Pharaoh have done to me. I have been carried into Egypt, beaten before Pharaoh, and brought back again. He turned his back to the courtiers, and, seeing his scars, they made a great outcry. The king sent for Horus, the Ethiopian magician, and said, "Beware of the anger of Amen, my God. Let me see how you will save me from the enchantments of your Egyptian rival." The Ethiopian wizard made charms and fastened them upon the king to save him, but the next night he was carried to Egypt and beaten once more, and the same thing happened. The third night, then the king was very angry and said to his wizard, "Bad luck to you, enemy of Ethiopia. You have humbled me before the Egyptians and have not been able to save me from their hands. By the life of Amen, unless you can save me from the spells of the Egyptians, I shall deliver you over to a cruel and lingering death." "My lord the king," said he, "let me go into Egypt, that I may see this Egyptian wizard and work my magic against him and punish him for all that he has done." So the king gave him leave to go, and he went first to his old mother and told her all that had happened and how the king had threatened him with a cruel and lingering death unless he was able to conquer the wizardries of the Egyptian magician. "My son," said she, "be wise and do not go near the place where Horus of Egypt dwells. If you go to Egypt to work magic, beware, for you cannot conquer the Egyptians, and you will never come back again to the land of the Ethiopians." "It is of no use to talk in such a fashion," said he, "for I must go." Then said his mother, "Since you must go into Egypt, let us fix upon signals between us, so that if you are conquered, I may come to help you." "If I am beaten," he said, "whenever you drink or eat, the water will change to the color of blood, the food will change to the color of blood, and the sky will change to the color of blood before you." So when they had agreed upon these signals, the Ethiopian wizard journeyed into Egypt. When he came into the hall of audience before Pharaoh, he cried with a loud voice, saying, "Ha! Who is this that works sorcery against me in the presence of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and has brought the king of Ethiopia into Egypt against his will?" Then Horus, the Egyptian wizard, stood forth and cried, "Ha, thou wicked Ethiopian! Is it not thou who hast carried Pharaoh my master to the land of Ethiopia and beaten him there? Yet thou comest to Egypt, saying, 'Who works sorcery against me?' By the life of the god of Heliopolis, the gods of Egypt have brought thee here to punish thee. Gather thy courage, for I come against thee." Then said the Ethiopian wizard, "Is this the dog who barks at me, he who works magic against me?" So saying, he spake a spell, and lo, a flame burst out in the audience chamber, and Pharaoh and the chiefs of the land of Egypt cried aloud, "Help us, O Horus, chief of the scribes!" Then the Egyptian wizard spake a spell, and lo, a great rain from the south fell upon the fire, and it was extinguished in a moment. Then the Ethiopian spake another spell, and lo, a huge black cloud came over the audience chamber, so that no one could see his neighbor. But the Egyptian wizard recited a spell towards the sky, and it became clear once more. The Ethiopian spake a third spell, and lo, a great vault of stone, 200 cubits long and 50 cubits wide, rose up over Pharaoh and his princes to separate Egypt from its king. Pharaoh looked up. He saw the immense vault hanging over his head, and he and all that were with him uttered a great cry of fear. But Horus the Egyptian spake another spell, and behold, a papyrus boat appeared, and loaded itself with the great vault of stone, and sailed away with it to the lake Moris. Now, when the Ethiopian saw that he could not contend with the Egyptian wizard, he made himself invisible by art magic, thinking to go back to the land of the Ethiopians, his own country. But the Egyptian wizard cast a spell over him, and behold, Pharaoh and all his court saw the vanquished wizard like a loathly bird ready to fly away. Horus recited another spell and cast him down upon his back with a falconer over him, his knife in his hand, ready to kill him. Then away in Ethiopia the signals which the Ethiopian wizard had agreed upon with his mother came to pass, and her food and drink changed to the color of blood. At once she changed herself into the form of a goose and flew towards Egypt, where she hovered over the palace of Pharaoh, calling loudly to her son. Horus, the Egyptian wizard, looked up to the sky. He saw her there and knew who she was. He spake a spell and threw her down to the ground with a falconer standing over her and threatening her with his knife. Then she changed her shape once more and became again an Ethiopian woman and besought the Egyptian wizard, saying, Slay us not, O Horus, son of Panesi, but pardon our crime. Only give us a boat to travel in, and we will never return to Egypt. Horus refused to reverse his spells unless the wizard and his mother swore by the gods never to return to Egypt. She raised her hand and swore, and her son also swore, saying, I will not return to Egypt until 1,500 years have passed. Then the Egyptian reversed his spells. He gave a boat to the Ethiopian wizard and his mother, and they hastened back to the land of the Ethiopians. Thus spake Osiris before Pharaoh, while Setna his father and all the people listened. Then, turning to the Ethiopian, who bowed with his head to the ground, he cried to Pharaoh, By thy life, my mighty lord, this wretch whom thou seest here is Horus the Ethiopian wizard, whose wicked acts I have recounted. He has not repented him of his evil, but now that the 1,500 years have passed, he has returned to work sorcery upon Egypt again. And I am Horus the Egyptian. When I learned in Hades that this wicked Ethiopian was coming to bewitch Egypt, knowing that there was no scribe in Egypt strong enough to contend with him, I besought Osiris to let me return to earth again, that I might hinder him from humbling Egypt before Ethiopia. I was born again as the son of Setna for this one end, that I might work wizardry against this Ethiopian who stands here. So saying, he spake a spell against the Ethiopian, and he wrapped him in fire, which straightway consumed him in the sight of Pharaoh and all his court. Then Osiris himself vanished like a shade from before Pharaoh and his father Setna, and they saw him no more. Pharaoh and all his nobles marveled exceedingly at what they had seen, saying, Never was there a good scribe or wise man like Horus the son of Panesi, neither will there ever be another like unto him again. But Setna mourned and made great lamentation, because his son had vanished like a shadow. In the fullness of time his wife bore him another son, but he never ceased to make offerings to the spirit of Horus the son of Panesi, who had also been his little son, Osiris.